you want a woman's perspective on?
So I was at a party, right? Sorry, do you mind introducing yourself again?
Okay, the name is Tumagole. It's Tumagole Mohalanyane, but everybody calls me Tuma, so I think that's going to be easier for all of us.
Okay, yeah,
All right.
Because I was afraid of butchering, like pronouncing your name, because I don't know if you could tell, but the colonization is strong in me, so.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, no, everybody gets my name wrong the first couple of times, so that's why I normally just stick to Tuma. It becomes easier, or you can call me T. That's even way easier.
Way easier,
yeah. I think we're
Yes.
at the bottom
So
of
let's
the easy.
get this perspective.
Just to
Yeah.
reintroduce ourselves, I'm Nelson, by the way, and this is my co-host Abongile. And we're excited to have you on, by the way.
I am excited to be joining you guys. I am excited to be sharing views with you guys and learning. I've been listening to you guys for a while now, and I was like, wow.
I remember when you dropped me off. When you dropped me off that day, I told Abo, like, whenever I take an Uber, I usually don't like to talk. I like to just listen to my music. But like, you were the first Uber driver who I felt like, wow, I'm actually interested in what she's saying, you know? Which is why I said you should probably do radio or something.
You know how many people have told me that? And I think I take it for granted, right? A lot of people have told me, you talk a lot. I do talk a lot. I got into trouble for talking at school. Growing up, I always got into trouble. I always speak when I'm not supposed to. Because, I just talk, you know. So I feel like most of my clients never get bored. There's always a discussion happening. Obviously, not all people are the same. You get other people that are very quiet and we don't chat. But like, I'm sure 90% of my clients, we have conversations in the car.
That's awesome. That's awesome. At least you've got the gift. You know, some people don't. Anyway, I was sorry to cut you off again. Go ahead.
I kind of want to just talk about the clients right now. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about the clients. Let's talk about them.
I want to talk about the clients right now, right? Because I mean, you the guest. I was just gonna tell a terrible sex threesome story. You know what I mean? I'm sure everyone wants to hear about that.
I was actually interested in hearing about that because you said that there was something you wanted a woman's like perspective on. And
yes,
I was intrigued on that.
Maybe you can jump in there, T. If you don't mind, I'm going to stick with the T.
Okay, let's hear it.
Yeah. So I was at a party once, right? And there were these two girls. We met them at a McDonald's, right? Before the party. So I've never met them, and they came with one of my friends, and we went to the party together, right? The party was kind of around my area. So when we got there, my friend ditched me with these two girls, right?
That is not a friend. Don't ever call him that.
well, let's finish the story. Okay. Maybe he redeems himself later. So he leaves me with these two girls. That was terrible. And you're right. At this point, it's not being a friend. It's not being a friend. So I'm just hanging out with these girls. They clearly very close friends, right? They're kind of just around each other, and I'm in the middle of them. So they start taking pictures, right? And they kind of pull me into the pictures, right?
Okay.
Right? So we all just taking pictures together.
Oh my God.
And then one of them kisses me on the cheek. The picture.
Oh my God.
It's just a kiss on the cheek, right? I go, hey, whatever. Then the other one kisses me on the cheek, right? Then they both start kissing me on the cheek, right?
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Before
you continue, what McDonald's is this?
This is in East London.
Okay. They do things different at those McDonald's, huh? Them East London McDonald's do things different.
Hey, listen. I don't know what happened. Let me just make this clear. I did not do anything to cause the next events to occur.
Okay.
I don't lift a finger. What happened just happened. So anyway, they start kissing, right?
Oh my God.
So now I've only seen this in this MTV show called Geordie Shore, right? That I used to watch back then, where two girls start kissing and then they invite you to kiss, and now you have like a three-way kiss thing happening, right? Now, while this is happening, I'm getting really drunk. I mean, really drunk. Not because of them. Not because of them, but like I'm just myself getting drunk, right? And they just happen to be there. So because I'm drunk, because this is like the perfect storm, I start getting confident, right? So I'm just like kissing them and whatever. And then for some reason, which wasn't in my sober control, I say, let's go to the bedroom.
Now, you should have been a lawyer, sir, because you are a closer.
I'm telling you.
Now, going to the bedroom, I'm panicking because I'm getting a bit sober, and I'm realizing what I've just suggested, and what has been given the okay, right? Because, like I said, my drunk confident self was in control, and my friend was also in control. And Nelson, you know about our mate, he's always down for anything, right?
Yeah.
You're self-conscious.
In that state, you think with both your head. Well, the upper head doesn't really work.
The other guy.
The upper head is just controlling the movement. He's not making any decisions about strategy or anything like that.
Yeah.
But the upper head is also reminding me that I'm human, or not even human, reminding me that this is nothing I've ever done before. Like, yo, relax. Like, you're about and this is at someone else's house, in someone else's bed, at someone else's place, right? So there's a lot of elements that I think if I was some rich, spoiled kid that does this stuff all the time,
if you were morally bankrupt,
right, this would be no issue. But for me, I'm counting all the elements. I'm not going to my bed. I don't know whose house this is. I don't know these two girls. I don't know what's gonna happen. Maybe they're gonna embarrass me now. The negative stuff starts coming in. Maybe they're gonna embarrass me. Maybe this is not for real. I don't trust the situation. I'm still drunk, so I'm still going, and I'm still gonna do this, but I'm thinking a lot. So anyway, we go to bed, and then a lot of the stuff in me comes out, and I throw up. But I don't throw up. I don't throw up on them. Luckily,
on anybody.
I'm in the right state of mind to go to the bathroom, right? Like I need to pee. I go to the bathroom and I throw up in a bathroom where someone was peeing. There's a girl that was peeing in there, and I just opened the door. I don't care. I throw up in the bath because I'm like, okay, she's peeing. I throw up in the bath. I wipe myself. Everyone's going crazy. What was going on? But I get myself together and I walk in with a sense of confidence back there. Like nothing behind me. Nothing behind me happened. Like there's no mess in the bathroom, right? There's no girl that's traumatized. There's no commotion. It's just, and they're just laying there, kissing each other and talking of Sunday clothing. So anyway, here was my female perspective question. I want to, I understand that we all love sex as people, right? To a certain degree, of course. But I think in general, you would say most humans are into sex.
Yeah.
What is the mindset that leads a girl to having no problem with getting in a three-way situation? And is there added pleasure to that? right? And I just to hear. I know it's a crazy question.
Yeah,
it is a crazy question.
What do girls get from threesomes?
And this question
I'm asking this seriously.
Look,
because this question is about the answers to this.
Like I was gonna say, the problem with this question, like it kind of assumes that you have been in a three-way and you have
no. Like I said, I'm asking this seriously, right? Like analysis-wise.
Analysis-wise.
Right? You've got threesomes that happen, right? And maybe Nelson, we can talk about the male point of view.
Question is about to expose. You know, let me just say, right? Okay, on record, I have had a threesome.
Well,
what led me to having it, I was drunk that night. I really can't remember all the details around it, okay? But we were drunk and we just decided, we had a moment of craziness and we ended up doing something crazy and stupid, which later we spoke about it and it was very weird and it was very awkward. But we were friends. We were all friends. So we still had to face each other going forward, right? So we spoke about it and we became adults about it and we moved on from that situation. But basically what happens when you are drunk, a lot can happen.
I like that answer. A lot can happen. A lot can happen because, hey, bro, these girls, you picked them up at McDonald's? I guess they were just out looking for a good time.
No. I didn't pick them up. They were with my friend, right?
Oh,
I met them.
Oh, okay. You met them all.
Like I said, I didn't do anything. I was just there, right? There's no action.
Are you sure your friend, like she said earlier, like, you know, maybe you shouldn't be calling it. Maybe you should be calling him your friend. Maybe he filmed the whole thing and he's waiting to blackmail you. You know.
Listen,
I think so too. I kind of think so too, right?
He can blackmail me. In fact, I'd love to see that video.
Ooh, you do not want to see that video. I can promise.
Nah, I don't want to see it. I think it would look terrible.
It would look
your own mental video is enough.
That confidence that was there won't be showing in that video, bro.
No way.
I'm telling you, you're gonna feel so shitty if you watch that video. But like I was saying, you know, the thing is, let me first say this: girls like sex just as much as guys, right?
Or maybe more.
It has been said. Like I hear people say, oh, for a woman, it's all about, it's emotional. It's not all women.
Not all women, that's true.
Not all women, you know. They will tell you for a guy, it's all about having a place to bang and they will do it right there. It doesn't matter who you are, how you look, they will, even women will do the same.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no difference between us and you guys.
Because sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. You can say what you're going to say.
Well, all I was going to say is I do know women out there who, for them, sex feels good and it's fun. And so there's no need to complicate it beyond that. And that's it.
Exactly. You see, the thing is, times have evolved. Things have changed. It is no longer how it used to be. Sex is no longer that sacred thing that used to happen between a man and a woman and whatsoever. Society has kind of, how can I say it, put it out there, you know. So everybody's having sex. Everybody is wants to explore. Everybody wants to know this. We've got different friends from all different walks of life. So you get me, for instance, a crazy wild person, and I meet a Christian girl, and I'm gonna tell her about all my crazy experiences. She will want to know, or rather experience, how it's like. You understand? She may reserve herself and be all holy within the holy circle. But the minute she comes out of that circle and she's with somebody like me and she feels comfortable with me and I make her do what I do, she will do it.
Yeah.
So it's more of influence from friends. It is, some women go out there and have sex with different kinds of men or do all these crazy things because they're just trying to satisfy or fulfill that void that is being left by their partners. That happens as well. because somehow we manage to subject ourselves to bullshit relationships, and then we go outside to try and find comfort, so we come home and it makes sense, which it never does. So that's another reason why you find women, like the two women that you were with, just randomly having casual sex with a person that they don't know. So there's a lot of contributing factors to why a person would just get into something like that. I think as a driver, one, and as a girl too, I've been in situations where I've had casual sex. I've been in situations where I almost had casual sex, and then my senses came back and I was like, oh fuck no, I'm not gonna do this. So like for example, I carry a lot of women daily, different types of women. And right now, the general thing that happens is women are having sex for money.
Yeah.
So they are filling the unemployment gap with sex. And they will do it anyway, anyhow, with anyone.
Like, yeah. As an Uber driver. Oh, sorry. Are you still saying something?
I think I lost you guys there.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
It did cut out a little bit.
Yes, you were saying, Aya?
Oh, I was saying as an Uber driver, because I'm aware of kind of the hookup situation happening, the culture thing. I got tender when I got here, right? Because my friend always suggested it, and I thought I'd do it for fun. And it is insane. It's like a brothel, right? If I'm being honest, right? It's like, I would say a decent percentage of the female, and obviously I'm only getting the female perspective because I'm a guy on Tinder who's straight. So I'm only getting
crazy.
It is insane. How many times, if I may ask, do you have the guys going to hookups? You know what I mean? The guys, or the women going to.
In fact, I've never had a guy going to a hookup.
Really?
I've never picked up a guy that said to me, I'm going to. No, never.
No booty calls.
I've picked up a lot of young girls that go on hookups, And there was one interesting girl, I spoke to her because she was really young. She looked about 19. And I asked her how old she was, and she said employment. I think my reception is terrible. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, no, we can hear you now. We can hear you. We lost you around when you said you asked her age.
Yeah, so I asked her how old you are because she looked about 19 to me. And then she said to me, no, I'm 22 years of age. I'm a graduate and I'm currently unemployed. You understand? So this feeling the pressure, she left home to Joburg to study. Now I like that to go back home with my qualification is just not on, right? So what she's doing is what all the other girls are doing from race or from wherever it is that she stays. So they all go on an online dating platform and they have hookups with these men. You see? So that is the norm lately, what I've picked up from all the girls that I picked up. So it's either that they go online, hook up with guys for money. So they have a fee, because I spoke with this girl and she told me, no,
Sorry, we're losing you again. Abo, do you want to try turning off your video? Maybe it's the video processing that's slowing her down.
So for my Uber, okay. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, no, we can hear you. We can hear you now. I'm just. Oh, well, you're muted, by the way. You're muted.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm just
unmuted.
gonna switch off my video. I'm just gonna switch off my video.
Yeah, I think that might be
yeah,
contributing to what's slowing it down a little bit. I was going to ask, so these young girls who are going on these hookups, are they going under? So I'm assuming they get some sort of payment. Like, is it a direct form of payment, like straight up money,
like cash
or is it like a gift kind of situation where we're not being direct about it?
No, it's I go onto an online dating platform and I meet Nelson, right? And we chat with Nelson. Nelson, I'm Duma, I'm from such and such a place, you're from such and such. We get to know each other. Okay, good. Would you be interested in a hookup or whatever language they use? And then it is agreed upon prior to me even coming to your place. Do you understand? So we know. I set my fee. I'm like, I can come over for the night. It's $1,000 for the night, for argument's sake. And you tell me whether you're cool with the price or not. So you tell me, nah, $1,000 is too much. I can give you 600. Okay, good. We agree. Pay for my Uber to come, pay for my Uber to go back.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That's how it works. That's how it works.
That's straight up prostitution, right? That's just straight up.
It is.
Straight up prostitution.
It is. Listen,
Avo, by the way, the setting you're looking for, I think it's bottom left next to the mute button. So I was saying, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like, why? Like, you would think that a guy who is financially stable, someone who is working, has that kind of cash to just give out, you would think that that kind of guy can get into a stable long-term relationship. Like, why would he? Is it just a matter of variety? Yeah, I'm not sure. No, most
of these guys are in stable relationships. You know, you'd be very surprised. It is. I don't even know what it is, and it's something that I think I would like to understand. If maybe I could speak to somebody that does it like very often. You know, they get into a lot of hookups and they are married. Some of them are in like stable relationships, live with a woman at home, but they will go out and have these hookups and come back home. And why? I don't know. Is it an ego thing? I really don't understand.
You know, because one thing I wonder about, right, is like, so earlier, Abo and I were discussing this concept of how like people, for as long as they have been people, have like not necessarily as long as they have been people, but since maybe the Industrial Revolution, people have always had this obsession with distinguishing what we consider synthetic from what we consider natural, right? Ever since we started like making stuff out of, like ever since we started processing things. And so there's a question around polygamy, like that men are genetically wired to sleep with as many women as possible to just propagate the whole thing. But my whole question is like, is it even possible to be in a happy, committed, polygamous marriage?
It is. I believe. It sounds very weird that I just agreed to that, right? Okay. So personally, I think it is. If you and your husband can talk about it as a woman, I mean, it's not something that just started now. It's been happening for forever, right? And would you rather have your man cheat on you, or would you rather know where your husband is? You know, that has always been my argument. I know that doesn't really guarantee that he's not going to go out there and cheat again.
Yeah.
All right. But I feel like it's much more safer. It's easier. It's better with everything happening, with diseases and whatnot. You know, if we are 5 in a relationship, we know it's our husband and the 4 of us. And hopefully, no, then we are able to account, if you get what I mean.
So, for example, if I fall sick, it's only the four of you here with me that can, could have possibly brought this to me. We might not know who exactly, but the thing, I feel like it's much easier, it's better. I personally am that kind of person that I think I'm very moody. So there'll be days where I really don't want to see you in my face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can just go be with wife number 2, 3, 7, 9, 10 or whatever,
Okay.
There is days when I have to go into prayer for a certain period of time. And maybe my husband will be sexually starved for 21 days if I have to be praying for 21 days and I can't engage in any sexual activities because I am a spiritual person. You understand? So then if there's Sarah and Grace and Petronella, then you are covered. I can do my things. Like, I feel like you're covered, then I can do my things. But again, it's also about the type of people that you bring into your relationship, right? Let's say, for instance, I'm the first wife. You decide to have all the other wives that you're going to have. I'm just going to need you to hold on for me a bit.
Okay. I think most guys are like me, right? So I'm gonna speak on, like, I might get a little bit philosophical, but I hope you guys could just follow my train of thought, right?
Okay.
When it comes to, like, for a man's experience, right? When I see a beautiful woman, and beautiful truly is, and this is where you learn the subjectivity of beauty, where it's like when you see a beautiful woman and she takes your breath away. You don't know anything about this person. She could be a good person, a shit person, but she takes your breath away. And there's something so idealistic, almost magical about that feeling. And it's like, I can see how when you're with someone you love and truly adore, you can see someone else and just be enchanted. My point is, I am a lazy person. I've never cheated in a relationship because it's too much work. So if I'm going to be in a polygamous relationship, I would like it if everybody likes and possibly even loves one another. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't do a polygamous relationship where it's like wife number 1 is tolerating wife number 2 for my sake. It's like, as much as that may be true, I would like it if you guys genuinely liked each other, because I think that would make the entire thing better. But how realistic is that? How feasible is it in a natural environment?
Not at all.
Just to add on the male perspective. Just to add on the male perspective, right? It's funny that Nelson says that. I actually agree with Nelson. And probably that's why, if you were to ask me ideally what I would go for ideally, even with the benefits of polygamy, I would actually lean towards monogamy, because like I'm lazy too. And to be honest with you, I think most men are lazy.
Yeah.
And I think when you say lazy, it's like it's not
the
a
stress of
thing.
it.
It's more of an emotional thing. Yeah. It's like an emotional laziness where it's like, if you were all ideally happy, like you said, if all my women were just happy and content with the situation, we can do this.
Happy,
but if I'm going to deal with
that is like almost not realistic. That is like almost not realistic.
It's not.
Yeah, it is. But it is sad again, because I agree with you guys on that. I wish it could be like that, but like all the time, it is never like that.
That's true.
All the polygamous marriages that I know, that I've had a chance to, maybe be with the people and like have a chat to them, you get to understand that the other one is just tolerating the other one for peace sake.
And
I
that's
feel
a
like
problem.
Yes, and I feel like it's something that can just be fixed with communication. If we could sit and talk with each other, not at each other, we would somehow be able to find that common ground. We would somehow be able to penetrate through whatever it is that is holding you back from just being happy in that place. And we could really, really, honestly, genuinely get along as people.
Yeah.
It's not difficult. It's like a relationship. You know, when two people are dating, right? You always think or assume the next person is going to think this if you say this to them. Why don't you just say it and hear what they're going to say?
Because I think
a lot of people's relationships.
I think that in the society we live in, right? I think what's interesting is like right now there's a lot of well, not necessarily right now. Well, when I say right now, I mean like this time, like this era right now that we're living in. There's a lot of conversation around having a society that is based on merit. And for the most part, you know, a lot of Western society and subsequently, you know, like Africa and etc., has been, especially the world we live in today, has been built by this kind of meritocracy kind of, you know, you get what you deserve based on the work that you put in. And the thing about that is that I feel as though with regard to the whole polygamy aspect of it, is that when you look at a relationship through the perspective of having multiple people who are all invested in the outcome of this relationship, it's like some people are going to feel like they deserve, like how you were talking about earlier, that sometimes you're going to feel like you don't want him in your face, you gotta pray and all of that. There are some days you're going to want his attention and he's going to be giving attention to someone else. You see what I'm saying? And
but then that's where the communication comes in, because if you guys are going to be, if you're going to be in this together, it's probably going to be very tiring, but it is going to be fruitful at the end of the day, you know? If we can talk about it, and if we can like just lay out our feelings and emotions about the whole situation, right? It becomes easier to, the minute I understand you as my partner, and I will understand Sister X as my sister in marriage, whatever it is that they call one another in a polygamous marriage, it becomes easier for me to know what sits well with her, what doesn't sit well with me. When is it a good time for me to approach? You can even read this person only if you take the time to know the person that you're with, you know? But we as people, we tend to not be transparent to one another. So therefore, at the end of the day, that is why we fight about stupid and simple things. Because you could have just simply said, guys, I do not like A, B, C, D. And we sit and we find common ground about A, B, C, D. And we know how to maneuver or work around it going forward.
I think actually, sorry, I think the point I was trying to make, which I failed poorly, was that the side effect of a society where it's like a meritocracy is that you might not have a reason or might not practically or realistically believe in unconditional love. And that means that even in relationships, you think to yourself, if I say this, they're going to react this way, because you believe that, you know, they're going to react this way. And it's less about the reaction and more about what the reaction represents, a way that they perceive you because of what you said.
Sorry to cut in. You know, today I was reading something about broken souls and broken spirits, right? And I feel like when I read it, I got to understand that a lot of us are broken. We've experienced a whole lot of different things in our lives, right? And those experiences, those traumas, those incidents, whatever it may be, have molded us to become this person that we are today, you know? So that's the underlying cause. That's where you can't trust because you've been with a heartbreaking bastard before. That's when you can't love because you've once given your heart to somebody who, you know? That's where you don't trust men because you've been raped before. So all of these things are the things that actually now surface in your relationship and they cause problems for you Because of your experiences, you now treat this relationship with your experience. I normally tell everybody that I start dating, I'm like, you have your own clean sheet to write your own story. I'm not going to compare you with whoever I've been with before. I'm not going to try and, I don't even want to set a standard for another person based on another person. I don't do that. Personally, I've been through enough in life, I will tell you, and I am grateful for every traumatic experience that I went through. Instead of breaking me, it actually made me.
Yeah.
And I could have been a very bitter person, but somehow I chose to be a very forgiving person, and it has worked for me. It has helped me. I don't care how much you break my heart. I will take the time to moan, heal, cry, eat chocolate, bitch about it, whatever it is that I have to do. And then I will collect my thoughts and myself, and I will say, I move on. And when I do that, and I meet the next person, I don't come in with a half heart, like, oh, what if he's like that one? But no, I give you the benefit of that. I give you, like, I've never been in a relationship before. Like, I've never met a heartbreaking person before. You understand?
Some would say
and
that's
unfortunately,
a very
for some people,
reckless way to approach things.
I know,
makes you very vulnerable.
You know what? Can
I just? I don't think it does. I don't think it does. It will.
Can I cut in?
Yes,
Sorry.
you can.
Can I just cut in to actually counter what you just said about vulnerability?
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, getting into a relationship is allowing the possibility of something that is bad to happen. It's like you're opening up yourself of vulnerability, but unfortunately, in order for you to do this in any way that you believe might be beneficial to you and your future, you have to accept that the other person you're dealing with is another human that is capable of doing whatever. So,
exactly.
So when you're going into it with your own mindset, your own how would you say, your own history and your own baggage, and you're kind of instilling the lessons you have learned, the baggage you are carrying, and you're moving it to the next relationship. It's almost like you're not giving the next person an opportunity to do anything, because they are literally continuing your story. They're continuing your story with their own existence, and unfortunately, that is the biggest problem when it comes to relationships. When you put in what you have gone through to someone else who won't understand, because there's a lot of understanding that has to be understood in relationship. But the truth is, I can't understand you. I rather start you from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like I rather I don't know anything about you. That is some emotional turmoil. You can tell me, like I can hear the stuff, but I'd rather this not be instilled in our relationship, and I can behave how I behave, right, without putting into consideration all the tragedies you have gone through. As selfish as that may be, I think it's probably the best way for both of us to interact in this relationship in a way where it will be comfortable for both of us. So,
yeah, well, I think you know what it is. I think sometimes trauma in relationships, even if the person you were with inherently is objectively the perpetrator, the person who's wrong, right? So maybe your partner cheats on you or something like that. The thing about that is that even in a lot of cases, it makes you feel like maybe there was an element to you that where like something is wrong, maybe something is wrong with the way I loved them or behaved, or whatever element about yourself you decide to nitpick about. And so it's like in the next relationship, you not only project your partner's like previous flaws, but it's that projection also is connected to you projecting your own flaws and how your current partner perceives and possibly reacts to your flaws.
I hear what you're saying, but then you know what the problem is for me is that if you're gonna come with your baggage from a previous relationship, your previous experience, this is not a job. We are not hiring based on experience.
Yeah.
We are getting to know each other, right? And getting to know each other is understanding your likes, your dislikes, what you tolerate, what you can live with, and all of that. If you're gonna come now and tell me that your ex used to, for instance, I maybe I just come back from work and I kick my shoes off and I sit down, you're like, oh, my ex used to do that. That is such a lazy thing. Now I can't be myself. When I come back from work, I must be conscious that, I must pick up my shoes and go put them in the bedroom. That does not mean I'm a lazy person. That means I'm tired and I just want to take some time to breathe, right? But then you're going to tell me, my ex used to do that and she used to leave the house messy and. So now I'm trying to correct the errors of your ex. I'm not living my story. I'm not living my life. I'm not being me with you. I am now trying to, I'm trying to now T-pex somebody else's errors, and make them right. I feel like it's very unfair.
No, that's true. It is completely unfair.
You understand? So that is why I say when I get into a relationship, that part after the breakup, that is the part where you deal with yourself, where you look at what could I have done wrong? What could he have done wrong? Or what can I take away as a lesson to build me up and move forward? You understand?
Yeah.
And you leave all the unnecessary stuff behind. Because I feel like most of the time, we are unable to love each other truly and fully because we are trying to correct errors of other people. A person comes into my life and I've been hurt and I've been broken, I've been shattered. I'll tell you about my rape experience. After I got raped, right? I could not be with a man. And it was hard for every person. Imagine you meet a girl and I've just been raped 3 months ago. How do you behave around me?
Yeah.
How do you understand? It becomes a problem. So I decided that I'm not going to withhold such an information from a person. I will tell you, but at some point in our relationship, not in the beginning of the relationship, because it might mess up everything between us. Because you might look at me as damaged goods. You might look at me as whatever it is that you perceive of a rape victim to be. And I don't call myself a victim. I am not a victim. So now, if I tell you firsthand, I meet you today, tomorrow we have a date, 3 days later, I decide to now open up about my life to you and tell you all these traumatic experiences that I've been through.
Yeah.
Already, you are going to build your own perception of me, and you are now going to try and treat me in a particular way because I've been through this and that. Other than if I had let you get to know me first as a person, not as my experiences and my past, right? You get to know me as a person, and later in the relationship, it just automatically comes. There will be times where we talk about things about our past and whatnot, and we share, and we get to know, you've been through this, But at that time when I tell you, it is, you've already accepted me as this person that you know, and then it doesn't affect our relationship that much.
So,
you understand?
So do you
think, don't have to treat me in a particular way.
Yeah. Do you think that so I was just wondering, right, that when you get into a relationship, and I've experienced that before, personally, I've always felt like opening up too quickly and too deeply, like as you say, you open up about something like that too early, and a guy might not know how to behave around you, but over time. So my question is is it better to maybe date this guy, take it slow for maybe 3 to 6 months, maybe, however long it takes for you to not only get comfortable with him, but for him to also get to know you, who you are at your core, so that when you finally do tell him that this thing happened, and, he starts to understand why you may have reacted in certain ways when he behaved in certain ways or touched you in certain ways, when he starts to understand that, maybe it doesn't freak him out so much because he knows who you are at your core. And so he knows how not to behave in order to not freak you, to keep from freaking you out,
or to rather trigger that memory. Yes. So it's easy. I feel like it's always easier. Don't just open up and like just put your baggage out there, you know. In the beginning of a relationship, get to know a person, get to know what they're about, you know. And when you as time progresses in that relationship and you start finding out things like this, it also helps you to understand this person better. You're like, oh, so that's why she acts like this, or that's why she does 1, 2, 3. That's why she's so protective of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It makes it easier for you. But at that time, you've already known the person, not the experience. Not their past. Because if you know me like that, it's a different situation if maybe you rescued me from that kind of situation and we ultimately ended up having to be in a relationship, right? But if we met and it has already happened, there's no need for me to like just say, this is what happened to me. It becomes hard for you as well. How do you treat me? How do you know? You don't, now it becomes a case whereby now I'm telling you, maybe I'm thinking to myself, I'm just telling him so he can know, right? But now your knowing also influences now your behavior towards me. And now you don't touch me, you don't hold me. And then it becomes a problem again. I'm like, oh, maybe he's not into me. Whenever I'm at his place, he sits across the room from me and whatever. But it's because now you don't know how to react. You are now trying to tread carefully around me because you don't want to trigger that, or you don't want to seem like, you know, a bad person. Now
and sometimes if it's early enough, people just feel overwhelmed. What were you saying?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say that something that people always forget to put into perspectives in these conversations is that a lot happens in what you call in a relationship the heat of the moment. Where things happen naturally, right? So a good way to explain to a man, you know, speaking from a man's perspective, a good way to explain to a man that something like that has happened to you is in a moment, in the heat of the moment when you guys are being your most open, your most emotional. This occurs every once in a while in a relationship, where you guys are being as open as possible as you can possibly be in whatever situation. Maybe you wake up one day and you want to talk, you know, you just want to talk, and it's kind of like a magic moment in a relationship where whatever issues you might have or whatever trauma you might have gone through in your life, it's a magic moment where anything is forgiven, you know. You know, unless you like, I cheated on you, you know, then you're going into that. That's a mission that you have to go through. But like something like your story, your traumatic situation, bringing it up in that moment, the heat of the moment, where you guys open, it will never affect like how he talks to you, how he touches you, how he does, how he that. Because every once in a while, when you're dealing with in a relationship, friends, lovers, family, anything, you get that moment. Even with your mother, you get that moment when you as open as possible, and your mother gets you too, and you feel that energy between each other. So I think a lot of something that plays a part in explaining things like that is also that natural, bringing it up naturally in the moments when you guys,
one of the things is like sometimes having to explain the trauma that you live through is prompted by things beyond your control. Like, so for example, I went to a very militaristic school growing up, and it traumatized a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And for me, one thing that I noticed after the school, like after I left school, is like I had a very strong reaction to any kind of intimacy, like closeness, you know. So like if people are close to me, it makes me I don't know, puts me on edge. It used to, at least. And so like sometimes you just have a physical reaction, especially if someone touches you like with intention, right? Like not if someone just like bumps into you, like if someone places a hand on you and you weren't expecting it, like you might have a physical reaction. And so it's like sometimes the guy might touch you somewhere where you have that physical reaction, and he might feel like, oh shit, did I do something wrong or something like that? And it might prompt an explanation kind of situation.
Yeah. And that's the thing about relationships, right? They're very complicated, and because it's two individuals, right? It's like T is, from the sounds of it, has a extrovert type of A-type demeanor, right? Talkative, is able to explain things, can talk about her trauma freely, can let herself be vulnerable. Something that you said, T, when I came back. Something you said, T, when I came back was, overhearing you guys talking, was just talk about things. Just say it. If it's something uncomfortable in a relationship, just say it. And that's actually something that I've always been on the side of when it comes to relationships. That if you have a problem in a relationship, just say it. Just talk about it. Just literally vocalize it. Tell the person, hey, I don't want this. I'm uncomfortable with that. This is what I want. And tell them what you want from them, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you can fix the problem at that moment, but you can just tell them what you want.
But what's messed up? I mean, what you're saying is 100% true. But what I wanted to actually say a little bit earlier is that, some people in relationships, or in my experience, I've had situations where women, when it's the getting to know you phase, they present their traumas in such a way where it's almost like they're saying, save me. You know what I'm saying? Help me, fix me. And sometimes that can be a very overwhelming thing, especially if it's early enough. Like sometimes it's like, I feel like, and this might be just me being an asshole, but sometimes I feel like it's very difficult for me to feel bad for this person when this trauma, which is obviously an objectively bad thing, they've taken it and made it so much of a part of themselves where it's starting to be like a character trait. And it's like, save me. Now every relationship that I get into, it's like, save me. I'm now framing you as my hero, from the jump.
That happens, I will talk about my personal experience, right? So after I went through that, I think I had that. It took me a while to actually get over it and get to a point where I'm like, nobody really needs to save me from this. I need to take a conscious decision to accept that it happened to me. It's not a good thing to accept, but at least accept that it happened to me. Forgive myself if in any way I feel like I was in the wrong. Forgive the people that did whatever it is that they did to me. I don't know their reasons. I don't know who they are. I don't know why they did it. But then don't let them take your little bit of joy and happiness,
Yeah.
And you don't allow the thing. What you're saying, Nelson, is actually very right. A lot of people take trauma and they make it a part of their lives.
Yeah.
So, in a way that it ends up destroying them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand? So that is, like I was saying to you earlier, I was reading something about broken souls and broken spirits. Yeah. This is because of the traumatic experiences that you've been through over and over and over again. At some point, it may be consciously, subconsciously, I don't know, unconsciously, I really can't say. I think I would need a professional to help me on that one. Yeah. But then at some point, some people actually do carry that trauma with them and make it a part of who they are. So a person who has experienced rape would just go around sleeping around because they feel like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I am I'm worthless, I'm valueless. No man is ever going to look at me the same again. And so they just go around giving it up because it doesn't really mean much. A person that was rejected by their father, you know, might struggle to have relationship with other male counterparts because my father doesn't love me, so how do I expect this man to love me? This man will never love me. So they get into a relationship with that my father never loved me mentality, and they're expecting you not to love them. Even when you love them, they don't understand it.
They don't believe it.
They don't believe it because they're just waiting for the day when you're gonna drop them just like their father did, you know. So as people, I feel like we've gone through a lot. Yes, we've seen a lot. It is the overcoming part of it that really makes a difference in your life.
Well, with regard to what you're saying about how the article you were reading about how a lot of people are broken, I think that term broken is a very interesting one to analyze, because broken suggests that at one point you were whole, right? And if we're gonna look at it somewhat metaphorically, then we have to see it as you being whole was when you had the first clear image or perspective that you had of the world itself, of reality, life, and the world you live in. And along the way, traumas make that reality a nightmare. And you experience things you thought were never possible, and that perspective that you held has now been broken.
It's now being taken with, and you now try to make sense of that. And
I think that the
find
reason,
a new
though,
reality.
And you're absolutely right about that, is that, like, for a lot of us, I think the reason it affects us so profoundly in the modern day is because these days, a lot of us live as though this society that we've built is the pinnacle, as though this is, I won't necessarily say we live as though this is the best that we could do, but we live as though this is the cutting edge of what civilization could be, or you know, and it's like, there is a number of ways, different ways things could have shaken out, but that's, you know, for a different discussion. What I'm trying to get at is that ultimately, when that perspective of the world is broken, we still have to find a better way. That is the point of civilization and society, is like, we're always trying to find a better way of doing these things, you know, living most of your life waking up at 9, going to sleep at 5 for like 50 years, and then you die, is less than ideal. We all know this. So it's clear we're trying to find a better way. And that's how it is with traumas, where it's like, you have to try and find a better way, like you said, to keep your joy, to keep that part of you that believes in living and life and reality and the world, I guess.
Yeah, I actually 100% agree with that. And I feel like sometimes
No, you can continue.
All right, sorry, man. I feel like sometimes that people also, in the same token, they give too much credit to life, and not realize that a lot of life is suffering. That most of the times you have a bad choice and a choice that's still bad but would be better. You know, there's not a lot of situations where you have a good and bad choice. And when you dealing with other people, right? When you interacting in a relationship, it's almost as if you want that other person to represent that good choice. Like okay, I've got two sides of me. I've got a bad side and I've got a bad side. And I only want to deal with the bad side that makes life better, right? Because I don't want everyone around me to be so disappointed in me and to hate me, right? Even if I hate myself. Now I'm speaking for people specifically, because most people who go through trauma and let it affect them suffer from a sense of depression or a sense of self-loathing, right?
Yeah.
But
you know, Aya, just to add on to that, right? I feel like one of the greatest things that destroy us as society is other people. We're always trying to please them so much that we forget who we are.
Yeah.
You know, like what you just said is you're always worried about what the next person is going to say, what the next person is going to do. If I do this, what will Nelson think?
Mm.
But you're not in the world for Nelson.
But isn't that a side effect of a democratic society? And not just a democratic society, but a society in which dictatorship itself is seen as inherently evil. So it's like the public opinion matters.
Nelson.
Yes, that's true. But can I just say this? I'll give you a simple example. I think you've both watched that movie, Acrimony, whatever it is, by Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
I always struggle to say that movie. You know how that guy was very, very adamant that this is my dream. This battery is going to hit, and I believe in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could all have that level of faith in life, irrespective of who says what, when, and how. Imagine.
You know what the problem is? You know what the problem is? The world that we live in is largely built on practicality, science, right? But we've acknowledged the intrinsic need for spirituality, which is religion. But because we value logic and science so much, there is an element where it almost feels like faith, having nothing but faith. I mean, having faith in something like a battery that you're building and the science behind it, that's something that's practical. But faith itself on its own is seen as impractical. You know, it's impractical to just rely on faith. But the interesting thing is, like, that's the part of spirituality that we yearn for, right? To blindly believe in something. And it's almost like that's also why we look at the difference between something that's synthetic and natural. Oh, this mango is a GMO. I'm not going to eat a GMO. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, there's one philosophy where you can look at it and say, well, molecular science is natural. Molecular manipulation is natural.
The thing about what you're saying, though, is that the world has shown enough evidence that faith can be rewarded. So it's not like a fateful endeavor where it's never going to work. You know, faith gets rewarded, and when it does get rewarded, it kind of rejuvenizes that spiritual part of us that ensure that we continue living in some form of spiritual faith. So I guess you just have to trust the world. You have to put your faith out there, trust the world, and put yourself. Know what T said about putting yourself first, I think is important, because that does play a part on how the world views you, right? It's like if you care for yourself, then whatever benefits you instill in your life will reflect and will showcase to other people, and other people will react in the loving way that you reacted to yourself. You know, it's like the laws of attraction. You know, you get attracted to what is attractive. You know that. You know, and if you don't think of yourself as something attractive, or you do not do the things for yourself to ensure that you are attractive, and I don't just mean physically, by the way, I just mean spiritually, emotionally, in every way, then the world might not react to you in a way that attraction works. You know, it's like a lot of people who are going through a lot, depressed, it reflects on the people around them too. It's not just them. It's not just them who's suffering. Everyone around them kind of suffers because of how they behave. It's like their behavior is
and it's not necessarily that they would be trying to make the people around them miserable, but it's like when someone is putting on an act of happiness, someone that you care about, it's like, you know, there's nothing you can do to help them, and it makes you sad.
You can tell, and it affects you exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So that thing T was saying about take care of yourself, right? I think it also works in the sense that take care of yourself to take care of everyone else too. It's like the world will become affected if you take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, in a humanic way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if humanic is
in a way beyond, you see, in the realm of psychedelic philosophies.
Of yourself, want to write yourself, then what will you pour out? If I am broken, that is all.
Hello, can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Okay, cool.
Do you mind making that point again? Sorry.
Yeah, and it sounds like it was a pretty long point. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I was saying, like, if you are a broken person yourself, you could never ever pour out any good from you. You know, you could be a pastor, and the only thing you will preach is from that broken place. You know, so it will already, because of the experience, they are now pouring that from your parents. You know, in perspective. I think you lost.
No, we've got you now. You just keep cutting in and out. But I think I understand what you're saying.
Hello. Yeah. So I feel like we've got a long way to go as society. You know, we've got a very long way to go. To a point where you can be who you are without outside influences.
Yeah.
If you can actually get to a point where you're able to stand on your own 2 feet without any other person's contribution in your life affecting you, if I can put it that way, then I feel like you've conquered. You know, when they say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never harm me. If you get to that point where people can really say stuff about you, or people can suggest things and go and decide, I'm going to do stuff of how people feel about it because it is what I love. It is what I'm passionate about. You know, it is what I feel God brought me into this world to do, if I can even take it as largely as that. But we are always so afraid to do things because I'm worried that Nelson is going to do. I personally have missed out on a lot of opportunities where before I did that thing, the first person I thought of was my grandmother. My mother passed away when I was still young. So my grandmother was like my mother.
Yeah.
So before I took on a job, if you offered me a job at a strip club as a manager, I'm not even coming to strip, as a manager, I would first have to think, how exactly am I going to tell my grandmother what my job, where do I work? And for that, I would not take that job. You know, I've had a lot of instances where I missed out on a lot of things because I was worried such and such a person is going to think this about me. But at the end of the day, that was going to be my stepping stone towards my dreams, towards achieving what I achieve in life. But I was held back by what another person would have to say. You understand? And we are all running our own race. Your mom, your dad, they're all in their own lanes. They're running their own races. And you also get to a point where you have to realize who you are. What do you want to do with your life? And where do you want to go with your life?
Yeah.
And make those mistakes along that way, you know? But it's hard to just boldly go out there and do that without having to consider what society is going to say about you.
I mean, I think one element of like maybe even the Bible that I can reference with regard to what you're saying is like the prodigal son, because it's like when you think of the story of the prodigal son, I don't think that the story is meant to say that the son leaving home was the bad thing and look, he came back home, so he should never have left in the first place. He's admitted defeat. I think the story of the prodigal son, I think, is a story with lessons on both sides, where it's like for the parents, and it's a very common story, like as a parent, you've been through a lot living life, you've learned lessons, and you would naturally want to steer your children away from certain scenarios where you've learned that nothing good comes from that. But there's an element to life where you have to experience things on your own and learn those lessons on your own, because if you don't, are you even alive? You know? And so it's like, it's almost as though that story is saying, your kid will leave. All you parents reading this right now, your kid will leave. But if you've raised them well, they'll come back. And that's the lesson for the kid, where it's like, when you've learned, when life has broken you, remember that you've always got a place to come back to. That's what you've got to remember, that honor your father and mother, etc., so that you have a place to come back to.
Yeah, I appreciate a lot of what he said about standing on your own 2 feet, because that is something that I think is becoming much harder to do as civilization evolves into sorry, I've got a kid in the other room. But
Okay.
as civilization evolves into a more comfort state, it's harder to then expect people to, stand up for themselves, to make themselves known to the world, because everyone, and maybe, okay, you know what, I am going to say everyone has something to offer the world. Everyone has something to offer the world.
That's true.
It might not be as significant as others, but it's something. And really, all you need is something to make a difference in the world. And I think sometimes people feel like existence is just the time between you are born to the time you die, and whatever happens in the middle is whatever. It doesn't really matter to that extent. I think that's why a lot of people feel that they can't continue. A lot of people commit suicide. A lot of people hurt themselves, or a lot of people just live a life that is full of a lack of inhibition, because they feel like, well, clearly my role in this world is just to exist, to make up the numbers. But the truth is, if everyone has something to offer, it's how the world is designed. It's how the world works. It's like the only way we've gotten to where we are right now is through our own ingenuity, right? So when we punish ourselves for not being as good as we ought to be, or as good as we ideally saw ourselves to be back when we were young, dreaming of a bright future, it's like the world is like, yo, whatever you thought about yourself, that was my ultimate plan for you. It's like the plan that I have for you is happening. You just have to let it happen by trying, right? You like that's all the world. It's almost that's all the world asks from you. It's like just attempt whatever you're thinking, everything you're thinking, everything. It's like what you were saying about yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that I think one of the like philosophies you're referencing is like, well, I think a lot of people find it difficult to see the value in a lot of what they may consider as what they have to offer the world, right? A lot of people might not see the value in what they have to offer because they don't necessarily see how it fits. But it's like, in psychedelic philosophies, people who take things like mushrooms, LSD, those people, like a lot of people who've taken those kinds of drugs, they talk about a concept where it's like the butterfly effect, where it's like things connect together, but they don't see how. Like when you see tiny rocks on the ground, like tiny little stones, you have to understand, and you see like, oh, some of these stones are similar to one another and some of them are different. You have to consider the fact that a lot of those stones that are similar, at one point, they used to be just one slab of stone. And now you see them as tiny little stones because they've broken up. But here's the crazy part. All those stones still fit into that slab like a jigsaw puzzle, but it's so complex that you can't see the puzzle elements. And so it's like, that's how life works, where some things might not connect the way you think, but just do your best, just try, because if you try, you will affect the world in ways that you don't even know.
That's so true. That is very true. That is very true. That is so true.
Yeah, so
I feel like fear is what holds us back in life, you know? The other day I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and I said, I wish to leave a legacy for my kids. A legacy of confidence, a legacy of can do, a legacy of fearless, you know?
Yeah.
Because fear is holding a lot of people back. I mean, if you think about it, what is the greatest thing that can ever make you not do something? Fear of the unknown.
Exactly. Nail on the head. Fear of the unknown. And it's that thing that humanity has been fighting since the beginning of everything. Fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. And yet we still struggle with it. But that is one thing. That is the one legacy I would like to leave for my kids. That is why I say to you, of all the traumatic experiences and everything that I've been through in my life, I try by all means to not make them a part of who I am. I will take away the good if there is any.
Yeah.
The lesson if there is any. Move on from that. Deal with myself about it and move on from it. You know?
Yeah.
That way it becomes easier. It gives you the confidence you need to just keep trying and sabotaging me. So we sometimes tend to not do the things that we want to do because you sit and you start wondering what if.
Yeah.
And the what ifs are 99% of the time negative.
Yeah.
How about you make them positive what ifs? What if I try it and I actually make it?
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Change somebody's life. What if I do it and it actually gives employment to other people? Make a positive what if and forget the negative what ifs, you know? Leave the fear of the unknown is what is holding us back as society, as people. We do not get to where we need to get to because we're always fearful of something that we don't know. The boogeyman is always there somewhere, you know?
And it's like we always need like precedents to give us safety. But it's like, it's interesting how when you look at like everything around us, right? With regard to technology, it's like all of this stuff at one point was truly, truly unprecedented. Like the concept of people flying in an airplane, like truly, truly unprecedented. But these guys just imagine that they can do it, you know, and they just keep trying until they get it right. And that's
exactly,
you know, a lot of people would see that as just purely until they get it right. A lot of people just see it as crazy, like straight up crazy, what they're trying to achieve.
And people have brilliant ideas out here, but because they think they're crazy, we will never get to experience them, and they're going to take them to their grave.
Yeah, and some of them might bring those ideas to the front, but they will mess up some big corporations' business plans, so they'll still end up taking them to the grave. Anyway, T, we've had a pretty long chat. I just wanted to say, if you're getting tired, you want to say good night, then there's no problem, but it's been pretty fun having you. We can keep going if you'd like as well. I have no problem.
I was actually about to say you're gonna make me not get some tonight. So yeah, because they'll be like, yeah, you've been on the phone with those guys. So, but yeah, we've had a very interesting chat, guys. It was quite informative, educational, you know. It is always refreshing to share points, views with other people.
Yeah.
It stimulates your mind as a person, you know. As the Bible says, we are renewed by the transformation of our minds. So it is, such discussions are necessary.
You know, before you leave, right? This is a segment that this is my segment.
Okay.
When it comes to this podcast, and I call it the cancellation segment. All right. I'll ask you a question that might potentially get you canceled. Not really, just a common term. But my question has something to do with what we spoke about, and I just want a quick answer before you leave. Actually, you can answer it however you want.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what is it in what we were saying about not being scared, about taking risks, about conquering, I guess, yourself, what is it about Black people that makes them lack that certain element that would reasonably propel us to a higher level globally?
I'm trying not to get cancer. You know, from I'll just date it back to my time, right? Because prior to that, I wasn't in this world. But just dating back to my times, I feel like the way we were raised is one of the things that really hold us back in life as Black people, you know?
Yeah.
We were raised by oppressed people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I was saying earlier, if you are broken, the only thing you'll pour out to the next person is exactly that. So we were raised by bitter, broken people. And they taught us bitterness and brokenness from a very young. Yeah. So because of their past experiences and their traumas and their pains and everything, they've poured that out onto us as the newer, younger generation, if I can put it like that, you know? Yeah. And we grow up. I personally did not experience apartheid, but I've got a problem with white people because of what I was told.
Yeah.
You see? They've built that, and it's gonna take a long time. With all the interracial relationships that I see, it still has a long way to go before we get to a place where you understand. So that then we know to our ancestors, we feel entitled as Black people. That is what.
Oh damn, she disconnected. Damn.
Yeah, but you can answer. You can answer now.
Okay. What I was
you have to get bits and bobs.
Yeah,
I actually want that.
I'm gonna be getting bits and bobs. All right,
gentle
guys.
brothers.
Thank you for coming out.
It has been amazing. It has been wonderful.
I hope you had a great time.
So much. I
had a great chat. I look forward to being invited again. Hint, hint.
Yes, definitely. And hopefully next time we can sort out the network issues. Hopefully the network doesn't screw us over, because you had a lot of interesting things to say, but the network keeps sabotaging you. They don't want, the Illuminati doesn't want this out in the streets, girl.
I'm telling you, that's what happens when you ain't at home and you're out in Soweto. But yeah, no. I look forward to another fruitful, wonderful, informative, educational session with you guys. It was really amazing.
All right.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for coming out, and we look forward to having you again.
Thank you guys for having me, and have yourselves a blessed and wonderful evening.
Thanks.
Till we meet again.
Good night.
Till we meet again.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.